In the 1800s, as people moved further west, they left a trail behind them, a trail of civilization. Forests were cut down for lumber, meadows fenced off for cattle or crops, and rivers, lakes, and streams were overfished and polluted. Soon, it seemed, the endless West would be swallowed up and used for man. Nature's beauty would be destroyed. But then came John Muir. Muir came from Dunbar, Scotland. He was born on April 21st, 1838, and was the third of 8 children. At age 11, Muir and the rest of his large family moved to the United States to live in Wisconsin. Muir loved the wilderness around him and fell in love with the place. As he says about Fountain Lake Farm, the Muir first homestead in Wisconsin, this sudden splash into pure wilderness, baptism in nature's warm heart, how utterly happy it made us, nature streaming into us, wooingly teaching her wonderful glowing lessons, so unlike the dismal grammar ashes and cinders so long thrashed into us. Here, without knowing it, we still were at school, every wild lesson a love lesson, not whipped but charmed into us. Oh, that glorious Wisconsin wilderness! Later, to make money, he went to work in a carriage factory. In an accident at the factory, one of his eyes was punctured. He lost his sight in it, and his other eye was also slowly losing sight. Luckily, he gained most of his sight back over a period of several months. This incident made him realize that in losing his sight, he missed seeing nature. He then decided to go on a long saunter throughout the United States. This saunter was a 1,000-mile walk all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana to Florida. After recovering from malaria, he traveled by boat to Cuba, and not getting enough of nature, he took another boat trip to San Francisco the next year. In 1868, when Muir finally entered Yosemite Valley, California, he was awed by the beauty. He explored for a few days, and then got a job as a sheep herder in the summer in Yosemite. When he had time off, which was often, he would go explore the high Sierras. Later, he had found more permanent work at a sawmill located in Yosemite Valley. John would set out for days, just exploring. He would climb mountains, keep a lookout from trees, sleep under the stars, and hike long hours through the wooded areas. He not only knew his way around the lands, he knew what had made the land. He looked at the valley, studied the stone walls, and climbed the mountains for a better view. He thought that glaciers had carved the valley, and he was right. Many years before his time, he had known the power of glaciers and what they could do. Today, teachers and scientists realize that Muir was right in much of his understanding of the natural world. He said that it was very important to get out in nature, to just get away from your daily grind and take a hike in the woods or walk up a mountain trail. Now we know that these things are important. We need to get out, unplug ourselves from our electronics, and plug into nature. Here's a quote from, as Andy Killingsmith says, naturalist educator at Missouri Botanical Gardens Shaw Nature Reserve, "Being in nature gives us an excuse to unplug ourselves from our devices. It gives us a reason to be outside, smelling fresh air, and slowing down to feel the gravel or grass beneath our feet as we walk. It forces us to be aware of what is around you, the animals, plants, insects, and even the clouds. Being out in nature allows us to be, for a short time, free from the hustle and bustle of daily lives and to get out at our own pace." But many people wanted to use Yosemite. They did not care for the beauty and wanted to buy up the land and use it for their own personal purposes, like grazing sheep or getting lumber. John Muir saw that this beauty needed to be preserved, so that everyone of all generations could see and enjoy it. So in addition to exploring, John Muir began to fight for Yosemite. He even took President Teddy Roosevelt on a 3-day camping trip into the valley. By the end, he had convinced the president that this place needed to be saved, and all he had done was show him Yosemite, the John Muir way. Muir's influence motivated Roosevelt, who became what many describe as a conservation president, creating 5 national parks. Muir spoke often to people, telling them that they needed to save these natural places. He was a great storyteller, but hated to write. His friends convinced him that his writing could change other people's ideas, so he began to write his experiences down on paper. He published 300 articles and 10 major books made up of his travel journal.
He would study all the plants, the animals, all the geology and so on, and he would write about it. And he was at a time when people didn't realize that there was a limited amount of natural resources, such as forests, minerals, various things like that. So people were clear-cutting forests a lot. And not like they have stopped, really,
Today, countless books and other pieces of writing support Muir's ideas, but at his time, most did not believe him. He had a hard time, and his ideas were often rejected by the public, but he never gave up on them. A part of Yosemite was called Hetch Hetchy Valley. Muir loved this place, but because of a recent earthquake and fire in San Francisco, the government wanted a new, better water source. They wanted to dam the river flowing through Hetch Hetchy, thus flooding the whole valley. Muir fought hard to save this place, but in the end, he lost. The beautiful valley was flooded, and the splendor of Hetch Hetchy was buried beneath the waves. However, today, a bill to undam Hetch Hetchy is being considered. We may yet see its beauty. John Muir's legacy is his passion for the environment, his storytelling, and his grit. He was instrumental in the formation of the Sierra Club, a major organization in the fight for nature. In fact, he himself was the head of the Sierra Club, which was founded in 1892. There were originally 25 members. His friends convinced him to join and become the president by telling him that it would be sort of a mountain club, not political. But it turned out to be majorly political as soon as it started. He ran the club until the day he died. The club still stands today, a working monument to his belief. Although John Muir died of pneumonia on December 24th, 1914, over 100 years ago, his legacy lives on.
While he was alive, he was a leader, but it has continued on for over 100 years because John Muir died 100 years ago on Christmas Eve of 1914. So he's still a big influence on people's efforts in order to help conserve our wildlands.
Through the forests and hills, the mountains and fields, the valleys and lakes, Muir's spirit resides. He can be found in the eyes of every person that goes and visits any national park. He showed us that we need to get out into nature, to explore, to hike, and to reconnect with the side of us that we rarely see, the side that can adore in the beauty of natural creation, rather than the side that can't have fun off the computer. As John Muir said, "The mountains are calling, and I must go."